Now, you have been in the travel media since the 50s. How long have you been in SATW? What year?
Since 1962, and that would be, what is that, 46 years?
46 years in
46 years.
2008.
This is 2008, so it's 46 years. Yeah.
And you
Hardly seems that long.
You're on the media side, and you've been an editor for a long time. But when you started, I think the membership was quite a bit smaller. What are some of the biggest changes since you became a member?
Well, I'll tell you, when I started in SATW in 1962, the convention that year was in Germany, and we had a chartered airplane, and everybody, all the attendees fitted on one airplane. We flew over there. We had about 160 people. I don't know how large the membership was, but that shows you how it's grown, because of course now we have 400 and sometimes 500, so it's much different. Also, in the 60s I was president of a chapter that doesn't exist anymore. This was the Southeast Caribbean chapter, headquartered in Miami, and I was the chair, and it got absorbed into the Atlantic Caribbean chapter. The Atlantic Caribbean used to be Middle Atlantic, I think, and then they decided to, they disbanded us.
Possible.
Yes, I learned about it from the board, sent me a note saying, "Oh, you're no longer a chapter." Well, and then I came on the board, actually.
What are some of the things that have stayed the same over the years?
Well, God, I don't know what's changed the same, except during the conventions, at least, things that have stayed the same are we've always had tours of the area. I know more about what has changed than I do about what has changed the same, because it really has changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, in that first convention I went to, there were no pre or post tours. The convention went from Berlin to Frankfurt to Cologne to Garmisch, and was all part of the thing. It was not pre or post tour, it was all one tour. Nowadays you have a central core plus pre and post tours if you want.
Was there professional development back then? And if
Very
so,
little.
What would it have been? What would have been some?
I can't remember that far back.
How to write
But
challenging and
we didn't have professional development that I recall. I was very little, if any. That came along later.
what were some of the issues in those days, or all the way through, that are interesting to you and members?
Well, there's always issues between editors and freelancers, and the fact that some newspapers would not purchase articles from freelancers who are going on a free trip, or a boondoggle, or whatever you want to call it, a press trip. And that was and is an issue. I can remember being on a panel with freelancers, and the audience got very disturbed by this. And I was defending the editors, and I think Archie Gonzalez was going at me. So, but I was on the board in the 60s, and again in the 90s, and earlier in this century.
Representing editors?
Not always, no. I was chair of the Editors Council in the 90s, but in the 2000s I was vice president of the society. So.
And what would you say would be the goal of SATW? How would you like to see it go into the future?
Well, I think professional development is very good. We need, however, to get some new ideas. Some of these things have been repeated every year, and I think they need to go beyond that, find new areas, adapt to the new ways that we are communicating these days. They're doing that to some extent now, but there's so many things. There's podcasts, there's iPods, there's the whole world of travel communication is changing rapidly. As a matter of fact, newspapers are on the decline, so unfortunately.
You like to evolve, though, I'm sure.
What?
You like to evolve with it.
Yeah, I'm getting at the point where I'll let other people evolve.
What has been your favorite part, or how would you encourage someone to join SCTW?
Well, I think one of the best things about the society is the networking aspect. You meet other editors, you meet other writers, you meet associates, and you network with them, and you learn a lot. For instance, I always thought Marketplace was an excellent thing. Always get a lot out of it. And there are some purists among them who would say, you're associating with the enemy, or the associates, they always got something they want you to run or something. But that's not the way it is. I mean, it's a give and take, and you learn something from them, and they learn something from you. And that's been very useful.
I agree. Now, is there anything else that you'd like to say that I didn't think of?
I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think I did very well with this. But,
I think you did.
Yeah.
But if you would like to repeat any of the answers.
No, but I don't know if there's anything else. No.
Yeah.
I compared a little bit with what was then and now. I think the conventions almost have gotten a little too big.
Really?
Yes, they're a little unwieldy.
Too much on the
but I don't know what you can do about it.
Yeah,
there was one other contentious thing we had during this time. There was at one point the editors, back in the 80s I believe, issued a manifesto that unless we had less of these freebie things, that they would pull out of the society. And that never came about. But then there was a movement at one point where we wondered why associates were even members. This is an association of travel writers. Associates are not travel writers. But that passed by too. So we have a few things that have come and gone. And we look forward now to the future.